Hello friend, let's start the discussion of today's newspaper. So today's discussion is maximum based on India at United Nations General Assembly. So yesterday it was the 77th United Nations General Assembly Summit in New York. From India, External Affairs Minister Mr. Subramaniam Jaishankar have attended the meeting in United Nations General Assembly by representing India and delivered a beautiful speech in the United Nations General Assembly. Now, not only India but also all the countries' leaders, ministers have attended the summit, and it is considered as the biggest platform where all the world leaders, ministers have attended and delivered speech regarding their respective countries about their growth. Okay, so like our external affairs minister also describe about India's digital growth, India's humanitarian aid to their neighboring countries, also criticizing Russia-Ukraine war, okay, etc. So now listen the beautiful speech delivered by S. Jaishankar in the UN General Assembly.
I now give the floor to His Excellency Subramaniam Jaishankar, Minister for External Affairs of India.
Madam President, Excellencies, distinguished members of the General Assembly, I bring to you the greetings of 1.3 billion plus people from the world's largest democracy. They join me in congratulating the President of the General Assembly, Ambassador Chaba Koroshi, on his election to chair the 77th session of the UN General Assembly. They follow closely developments at the United Nations, reflecting the increasingly globalized nature of our existence. We meet at a challenging time for the world order. This session's theme, a watershed moment, transformative solutions to interlocking challenges, seeks to capture its seriousness. Excellencies, the year 2022 is an important milestone in India's journey towards growth, development, and prosperity. India is celebrating 75 years of its independence, what we call Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The story of that period has been one of toil, of determination, innovation, and enterprise of millions of ordinary Indians. They are rejuvenating a society pillaged by centuries of foreign attacks and colonialism. And they are doing so in a democratic framework whose steady progress is reflected in more authentic voices and grounded leadership. This new India, under the visionary and dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is a confident and resurgent society. Its agenda for our centenary will be achieved through the 5 pledges that we committed to on our Independence Day. 1, we are resolved to make India a developed country in the next 25 years. For the world, that creates more capacities for global good. 2, we will liberate ourselves from a colonial mindset. Externally, this means reformed multilateralism and more contemporary global governance. 3, our rich civilizational heritage will be a source of pride and of strength. This includes care and concern for the environment, so ingrained in our traditional ethos. 4, we will promote greater unity and solidarity. This expresses a coming together on global issues such as terrorism, pandemics, or the environment. And 5, we will instill consciousness of duties and responsibilities. This applies to nations as much as it does to citizens. These 5 pledges affirm our age-old outlook that sees the world as one family. We believe that national good and global good can be entirely in harmony. It is this conviction that led us to supply vaccines to over 100 nations. Similarly, our evacuation operations in HADR situations always had room for other nationals in distress. Even as we meet our own development targets, India offers partnerships to our brothers and sisters in Asia, in Africa, and Latin America. And we do so based on their needs and their priorities. Today, the focus is on green growth, better connectivity, digital delivery, and accessible health. Our solidarity is not just in words. You can see them in 700 projects across the world. Madam President, even while India contributes to global betterment, we recognize the sharp deterioration in the international landscape. The world is already struggling with challenges of post-pandemic economic recovery. The debt situation of the developing is precarious. To this is now added the rising costs and the shrinking availability of fuel, of food, and of fertilizers. These, along with trade disruptions and diversions, are among the many consequences of the Ukraine conflict. The Indo-Pacific, too, witnesses fresh concerns about its stability and its security. And climate events have added an overlay on these mounting anxieties. As we saw in the case of the COVID pandemic, the South will be the most impacted, even if the immediate causes are well beyond. It is imperative that global conversations recognize this deep unfairness. The inequity of vaccine distribution should not be replicated in other domains. Madam President, as the Ukraine conflict continues to rage, we are often asked, whose side are we on? And our answer each time is straight and honest. India is on the side of peace and will remain firmly there. We are on the side that respects the UN Charter and its founding principles. We are on the side that calls for dialogue and diplomacy as the only way out. We are on the side of those struggling to make ends meet, even as they stare at the escalating costs of food, of fuel, and fertilizers. It is therefore in our collective interest to work constructively, both within the United Nations and outside, in finding an early resolution to this conflict. Excellencies, while the global attention has been on Ukraine, India has also had to contend with other challenges, especially in its own neighborhood. Some of them may be aggravated by the COVID pandemic and ongoing conflicts, but they speak too of a deeper malaise. The accumulation of debt in fragile economies is of particular concern. We believe that in such times, the international community must rise above narrow national agendas. India, for its part, is taking exceptional measures in exceptional times. We do so when we send 50,000 metric tons of wheat and multiple tranches of medicines and vaccines to Afghanistan. When we extend credits of $3.8 billion to Sri Lanka for fuel, essential commodities, and trade settlement. When we supply 10,000 metric tons of food aid and vaccine shipments to Myanmar. When we fill the gap in humanitarian needs left unaddressed by political complexity. Whether it is disaster response or humanitarian assistance, India has stood strong, contributing particularly to those nearest to us. Excellencies, the world as we knew it is poised for transformational changes. It has been impacted in recent times by a succession of shocks, each of them significant by itself. The COVID pandemic called into question the over-centralized nature of globalization and has led all of us to seek greater resilience and reliability of supply chains. The repercussions of the ongoing Ukraine conflict have further heightened economic stresses, especially on food and energy. Climate events have added to disruption that the world is already facing. As for the promise of technology, it has certainly multiplied our capabilities, but also added to our vulnerabilities. Trust and transparency are legitimate expectations of a more digitized world. The quest to create a better global order would necessarily have to address all these issues. Among them, some are clearly more existential in nature and necessitate intense coordination by the international community. Climate action and climate justice are particularly noteworthy in this respect. In their pursuit, India has worked with partners on the International Solar Alliance, the One Sun, One World, One Grid initiative, and the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. We stand ready to support any collective and equitable endeavor to protect our environment and to further global wellness. Lifestyle for environment, or LIFE, as declared by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Glasgow on the sidelines of COP26, is our homage to Mother Nature. India remains deeply committed to fighting climate change under the UNFCCC and the Paris Agreement. We do so on the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities in the light of different national circumstances. We have announced our updated nationally determined contributions after COP26. Excellencies, India's steadfast commitment to South-South cooperation is by now well established and well recognized. Our approach is based on principles of mutual respect and national ownership, with a commitment to sustainable development for all. As we begin the G20 presidency this December, we are sensitive to the challenges faced by developing countries. India will work with other G20 members to address serious issues of debt, of economic growth, food and energy security, and particularly of environment. The reform of governance of multilateral financial institutions will continue to be one of our core priorities. Madam President, India would be completing its tenure as a member of the Security Council this year. In our term, we have acted as a bridge on some serious but divisive issues confronting the Council. We have also focused on concerns such as maritime security, peacekeeping, and counter-terrorism. Our contributions range from providing technology with a human touch to ensuring safety and security of UN peacekeepers. As the chair of the Counter-Terrorism Committee this year, India would be hosting its special meeting in Mumbai and New Delhi. I invite all member states to participate in it. We need to create a global architecture that responds to the new tech tools deployed against open, diverse, and pluralistic societies. Having borne the brunt of cross-border terrorism for decades, India firmly advocates a zero-tolerance approach. In our view, there is no justification for any act of terrorism, regardless of motivation. and no rhetoric, however sanctimonious, can ever cover up bloodstains. The United Nations responds to terrorism by sanctioning its perpetrators. Those who politicize the UNSC 1267 sanctions regime, sometimes even to the extent of defending proclaimed terrorists, they do so at their own peril. Believe me, they advance neither their own interests nor indeed their reputation. India has always espoused a cooperative, inclusive, and consultative approach to international relations. We believe that multipolarity, rebalancing, fair globalization, and reformed multilateralism cannot be kept in abeyance. The call for reformed multilateralism, with reforms of the Security Council at its core, enjoys considerable support among UN members. It does so because of the widespread recognition that the current architecture is anachronistic and ineffective. It is also perceived as deeply unfair, denying entire continents and regions a voice in a forum that deliberates their future. India is prepared to take up greater responsibilities, but it seeks, at the same time, to ensure that the injustice faced by the Global South is decisively addressed. Our call is to allow serious negotiations on such a critical matter to proceed sincerely. They must not be blocked by procedural tactics. Naysayers cannot hold the IGN process hostage in perpetuity. In these turbulent times, it is essential that the world listens to more voices of reason and experiences more acts of goodwill. India is willing and able on both counts. We believe and advocate that this is not an era of war or of conflict. On the contrary, it is a time for development and for cooperation. Madam President, in the past, this august assembly has served as a meeting point of views and as a catalyst for action. It is vital that we continue to believe in the promise of diplomacy and the need for international cooperation. Therefore, Madam President, let us strive to return to the course of seeking peace, progress, and prosperity. I thank you.
Very beautiful speech by our External Affairs Minister. Now, I want to present you some of the other leaders' speech, like Russia, then Guyana and Jamaica. In their speech, they praised India for the humanitarian aid by India, especially by providing free vaccine to those nations like Jamaica, Guyana. Look at the videos. So, it is the External Affairs Minister of Jamaica who is praising India for supply of vaccine.
From the very outset, the Republic of India was a reliable partner and friend whose assistance was critical to our pandemic response. Despite its own challenges and responsibilities, as just elucidated by our colleague Hugh, enabled by its advanced pharmaceutical capacity, India embraced a holistic and outward-looking vaccine diplomacy strategy. As a result, Jamaica was able to secure its first life-saving vaccines from India. While others chose to withhold supplies, India's vaccine outreach exemplified its principles of equality and mutual benefit. We are deeply grateful and remain so to the government and people of India, led by His Excellency Sri Narendra Modi and indeed our friend Dr. Jaishankar. Jamaica's vaccination program effectively got off the ground with the receipt from India of 50,000 doses of Covishield vaccines on March 10, 2021. Were it not for India's uncompromised willingness to respond to our urgent need, our progress in these initial phases would not have been possible, quite simply. I've never felt as impotent as a foreign minister as those days when seeking vaccines. And when we spoke, Minister, I recall the sense of hope which existed and which I was able to convey to my cabinet. We will never forget.
So she is telling that when all the other countries hold their vaccine, India is the only country who supplied their vaccine to Jamaica to overcome their pandemic. Now listen to the ministers from Guyana. Guyana is also an.
When we assess India's development post-independence, we can see that India has been fit for purpose at every stage of its development. In some cases, outstripping the multilateral institutions in terms of its commitment and its understanding of a rules-based system. Small countries like Guyana would have benefited immensely from India's growth trajectory, because India has always been an economy that focused on human development, putting human ahead of any other form of development. And that has been very, very commendable. And we in Guyana celebrate with India.
Okay, so very proud moment for our country that other countries like Guyana from Africa and Jamaica from North America are praising India in an international stage like United Nations General Assembly. Now listen to the Foreign Minister of Russia. Russia is a friend of America, and India is seeking a permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council, which is supported by Russia. Listen to him. Sergei Lavrov, External Affairs Minister of Russia.
The obligations under this host country agreement are also placed on the Secretary General, and inactivity is unacceptable. We're also concerned by the efforts made by countries who are undermining the prerogatives of the Security Council. And of course, the Council and UN have to be aligned to contemporary realities. We see the prospect of making the Security Council more democratic exclusively through broadening the representation of the countries from Africa, Asia, and Latin America. We note India and Brazil in particular as key international actors and worthy candidates for permanent membership within the Council, whilst at the same time unilaterally and mandatorily raising the profile of Africa. It is very important today to make sure that all member states unequivocally, without reservations, reaffirm their commitment to the purposes and principles of the Charter as a first and necessary step to restore collective responsibility for the fate of humankind.
Okay, so this is my first topic. Next topic regarding, okay, one thing related to this I want to tell you. The President of United Nations General Assembly, the 77th session United Nations General Assembly President, and the name of the President is, in 2012 it is Kaba Korosi from Hungary. He is the 77th President of United Nations General Assembly, Kaba Korosi from Hungary. Now, who was the first President of United Nations General Assembly? That is in 1946, Paul Henry Spaak from Belgium was the first United Nations General Assembly president. Now, from India, only president representing India, that is Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit on 1953. She was the first president representing India and also first women president in the United Nations General Assembly. She was the 8th session president, first women president of United Nations General Assembly, Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit. Okay. Okay. Next topic regarding the murder of a 19-year-old woman, Ankita Bhandari, in Uttarakhand by son of a BJP leader. Okay. So, now BJP, come to the topic. BJP expels father, brother of Uttarakhand murder accused. So, the accused is the son of a BJP leader. So, the BJP government has expelled his father, his brother from their respective post. Okay, now come to the topic. So, Pulkit Arya, his name is Pulkit Arya, son of BJP leader Vinod Arya, was arrested for the murder of a 19-year-old woman who worked at his resort. So, this 19-year-old Ankita Bhandari actually worked in the resort which was owned by this person, Pulkit Arya. Okay. Due to some after a quarrel between them, the accused just threw this girl from a bridge into a canal. Okay. So, the alleged murder of a 19-year-old receptionist Ankita Bhandari in the Vanantara resort in Uttarakhand's Pauri district has sparked massive outrage across the country. The girl went missing on September 18, following which a missing complaint was lodged at a revenue police outpost after the girl was not found in her room by her parents on Monday morning. On September 23rd, BJP leader son Pulkit Arya and 2 employees of the resort he owns were arrested for allegedly killing its receptionist. Her body was fished out of a canal on Saturday and the autopsy report said that she died due to drowning and there were findings of injuries on the body before death suggestive of blunt force trauma. Okay. So, this is the news. Now, the government of Uttarakhand, the BJP government has taken no time to arrest the culprit as well as order for total destroy of the resort. So, it is destroyed by the bulldozer sent by the government of Uttarakhand to destroy the resort. Very good initiative. So look at this video.
19-year-old girl's body has finally been recovered days after she went missing in Uttarakhand. The State Disaster Response Force recovered Ankita Bhandari's body from the Chilla Canal in
So this is the accused was beaten by public, finally arrested by police. Okay, and this is the boatman finding the body of the girl, and this is the destroy operation carried out by the government of Uttarakhand.
Uttarakhand's Rishikesh. She went missing on September 18. Ankita's post-mortem was conducted at AIIMS Rishikesh under heavy police presence. Locals raised slogans outside the hospital as her body was handed over to her family and was en route to her home. Chief Minister Dhami has formed an SIT and ordered a strict probe into the matter. The BJP has also expelled Vinod Arya and Ankit Arya, the father and brother of the main accused Pulkit Arya, from the party with immediate effect. The police have demolished Pulkit's resort where Ankita used to work as a receptionist. This came after Chief Minister Dhami ordered a crackdown on illegal resorts in the state. 3 people, including the resort owner Pulkit Arya, were arrested in connection with the alleged killing of Ankita Bhandari, who had gone missing about 4 days ago.
जिला प्रशासन जांच करे, अच्छी बात है अगर हम कहीं गलत हैं। अब वो
now the women worker covered the vehicle where the accused were taken to the court. This is the visual of demolition work carried out by the government. Okay, so quick action by the state police. Okay, move to next topic. Regarding a meeting between, okay, I'll come to the news. So, at the sideline of United Nations General Assembly meeting, there was a personal meeting between the ministers of external affairs ministers of India is Jaishankar and external minister from Russia Sergey Lavrov. Okay, so Jaishankar meets Russian foreign minister Lavrov. So external affairs minister is Jaishankar meet with his Russian counterpart Sergey Lavrov on the margins of UN General Assembly session. Mr. Jaishankar characterized the talk as wide-ranging on Twitter, saying they discussed bilateral cooperation, exchanged views on Ukraine, the G20 and UN reforms. Now, G20 is very important because next year 2023 India is hosting G20 summit in New Delhi and Mumbai. India is hosting the G20 summit next year, where the top 20 countries, most developed 20 countries will come. Also, there are several others invited countries will also participate actively and through video conference in that summit. Okay. The Russian foreign ministry also tweeted that the meeting had occurred. Now, India assumes the presidency of the group 20 countries on December 1. Reforming the UN Security Council has been one of the main themes of Mr. Jaishankar's current visit to New York. Now, so what is the main theme of his visit to United General Assembly? To include India in the permanent member of United Nations Security Council. That is India's next aim. How to include India in the United Nations Security Council permanent member, as a permanent member. Okay. So, Russia has already helped India, Russia already supported India, United States already supporting India. Okay. But due to not getting support from China, India cannot include themselves in the United Nations Security Council. So, that is also a topic of discussion in the upcoming G20 summit. So, in his UNGA address after the meeting, Mr. Lavrov called India and Brazil worthy candidates for a permanent seat of the UNSC. The two countries along with Japan and Germany are part of Group 4. So, I have just yesterday I have discussed about Group 4. Group 4 means India, Brazil, Japan, Germany. These four countries are seeking permanent membership in the United Nations Security Council. Okay. Move to next topic. Now, discuss about China. What China told at the United Nations General Assembly? What is their view? So their view is similarly, now they also little bit slamming Russia and advising Russia to stop the war, but their main point of discussion was regarding Taiwan, okay, because Taiwan and recent growing relationship between Taiwan and the western countries, especially with the United States. Okay, so China on Saturday at the United Nations urged Russia and Ukraine not to let effects of their war spill over and cancel for diplomatic resolution. Very good. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi also sounded a fresh warning on Taiwan amid tensions in the Taiwan Strait, saying Beijing would take forceful steps to prevent any outside support for the island's independence. So China considered that Taiwan is not a independent country and Taiwan is country under their jurisdiction. But United States are claiming that Taiwan is an independence country. So that is the point of confliction. That's why they are continuously giving warning to the West not to involve any kind of independence movement in Taiwan. Okay. Now move to next topic. BPCL signs pact with Petrobras to diversify crude oil sourcing. Now BPCL is purchasing crude oil generally from Arab countries, even from Russia, but now due to this kind of war situation, okay, BPCL is thinking about purchasing crude oil from South American country Brazil. Petrobras is a company from Brazil, so they have signed a deal, okay, so that BPCL can purchase crude oil from Petrobras. So what is the news? State-owned Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited on Saturday said it has signed an agreement with Brazilian national oil company Petrobras for sourcing crude oil from the Latin American nation as part of plans to diversify sources. So it is a diversifying of source. BPCL imports a large volume of crude oil which is turned into fuel such as petrol and diesel at its 3 oil refinery at Mumbai, Bina, Madhya Pradesh and Cochin, Kerala. Okay, so it's a very good news. So what is the value of the deal? $1.6 billion. Okay, so it means that Bharat Petro Resource Limited, the upstream oil and gas exploration and production subsidiary of BPCL. So a subsidiary of BPCL, that is BPRL, Bharat Petroleum Resource Limited, plans to invest 1.6 billion to develop an oil block in Brazil. So India is investing in Brazil, constructing a 1.6 billion oil block in Brazil, and through that oil block India will purchase crude oil from Brazil, okay, from Brazil. So it's a very good initiative. Move to next topic. So yesterday it is the last international match played by Jhulan Goswami. She bids farewell to from the international cricket. Okay, and most interestingly, India women team win the 50 over series in 3-0 by beating all the 3 matches. By winning all the 3 matches by beating England. Okay, 3-0 is the result. Jhulan Goswami's fairy tale Lord's farewell takes unexpected twist. India claimed 3-0 sweep of the series, but Deepti Sharma took the headlines. Okay, so it's a very good farewell given by her teammates in the team. India won the 50 over series 3-0. Now something about I want to say about Jhulan Goswami. Jhulan Goswami started her career in 2002 against England, and her career lasts about 20 years, and she is ending her career against the same England, okay, at Lords. So all the best for her retirement life. Okay. So this is the total discussion of my from today's newspaper. If you like my discussion, please like the video, subscribe my channel. We will meet tomorrow.